everyone! I thought since I'm in lockdown, probably like millions of others, I would start making some YouTube videos. So this is what it's going to be about. Today I'm going to do a bookshelf tour of all the kind of bookshelves that we have in my house, which is quite a few. I'm Charlotte and I'm 23. I've always loved reading, always had my nose in a book. I studied English at university, so, you know, kind of really into that sort of stuff. Always have been. And I also run a Bookstagram account on Instagram. So I thought if I'm going to start making YouTube videos, I should probably start with some books. So today I'm going to, do a little bookshelf tour. So I've been running this Instagram kind of sporadically, it's just a hobby, so whenever I have time, whenever I finish a book that I thought was really good, or whenever I have a good photo opportunity for any books, basically. So a few things about me. I currently work in publishing in Oxford. I work for a scholarly publisher, and I recently moved back into my parents' house. I did move out and rent a place in Oxford, but millennial dream, couldn't really afford to stay there, so moved back in with the parents. I'm sure a lot of people have had that same situation. And it's fine, I love my parents, but the one big problem we had when moving back is where to put all of my books. So currently, most of my books are in my sister's room. Those trophies are not mine, the books are definitely mine. So I thought this was the best place to start, to just show kind of, these are mainly books from my childhood bedroom. So there's a lot of, you know, kids books and young adult fiction on this bookshelf, but I guess we'll get into that when I dig through it a little more. And I just thought that I would show my prized possession at the moment. This is my copy of Girl, Woman, Other, which is an amazing book. If you haven't read it, you have to. And I've actually had it signed, so that's why it's my prized possession. It's my favourite book at the moment. It's just incredible. Yeah. So let's start on the first tour. Okay, so let's start digging through this bookshelf and see what we've got in here. There are some books that as soon as I came back I put here because I didn't really have anything else to do. So this is Leanne Moriarty's book 9 Perfect Strangers. Absolutely loved this book. I thought the characters were so real and engaging, and yeah, and the twist as well was just fantastic. I loved it. Behind that we have Jane Eyre, which is actually my parents' book. You can tell because it looks so old, but I read it about 300 times when I was growing up here because I just loved it. I thought it was a great book. There's also a Harry Potter book. I'm sure everyone knows Harry Potter, so don't need to dig into that. But of course, I am a Harry Potter fan. Alright, and underneath that, we've got, this is my sister's book, but I bought it for her for Christmas. We have Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. Now, this, I didn't like as much as her other book, Normal People. I don't know where that is. It realistically could be anywhere because there's no organisation on this bookshelf. Or any of them, to be honest. So, yeah. There's a couple of really good ones here. Jane Harper's books are incredible. I've read The Dry, Force of Nature, and The Lost Man, I think was her most recent one. Don't know where they are either. But that is really good. I think it comes after The Dry. But you don't really need to have read The Dry first in order to understand this one, but it does have some of the same characters. Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, another amazing book which I absolutely adored. Yeah, this book was incredible, made me cry, I'm not ashamed to admit, and I just thought it was so sensitive and just a beautiful book. The Zoo as well, it's like nothing I've ever read. I don't really know quite how to describe it. It's like so blackly comic. It's probably not as well known as some of the other ones on this bookshelf, but it's about a young boy set in the Soviet Union, and it's very satirical, but it's really interesting, and I would highly recommend it. I think it's an incredible book. Okay, so I totally forgot that this book was actually on this shelf, but The Song of Achilles, Madeline Miller. Oh my gosh. I thought, I really, really like this book, and what I particularly liked about it is that it told the story of the Iliad, the classic Greek poem, Greek epic, from the perspective of Patroclus, who was Achilles's, well, the relationship between him and Achilles has always been deliberately ambiguous, but a lot of people do believe that they were lovers, and this book kind of describes it from his perspective, and I feel like he finally got the recognition he deserved throughout all the adaptations of the Iliad. So yeah, just incredible. There's a Latin dictionary here. That is because I did a lot of I have a degree in medieval and Renaissance literature. And of course, the Renaissance returned to Greek and Roman mythology and the classics. So I am a sucker for a classic. The next book that that's a great one, but it doesn't make the top of this bookshelf, sorry. I Heart Hawaii. Now, this is by Lindsay Kelk, who is one of my favourite authors. I just think her books are absolutely hilarious. There's another one on the shelf by her, but this is kind of follows one character. I've read all of the books and I've loved each one probably more than the last. Yeah, just a solid book. This was the last one, she said, I think, the final kind of chapter. So this is lovely. It's a perfect beach read. It's just incredible. Now, Junk is one that I have had for a very long time. Honestly, I think I may have borrowed it from a friend and never given it back, which I know is just absolutely awful. And I can't even remember who it was from, so I'm really, really sorry if you see this. Let me know, I will send it back to you. But yeah, sorry about that. But this, I kind of read when I was 14. Potentially that was too young. It deals with some really serious issues about substance abuse and that kind of thing. But I loved it, and it really, honestly, it put me off drugs. So, you know, I suppose that's not a bad thing. Not that I was into heroin when I was 14, but it sort of steered me away from ever going down that path just because it was so kind of scary. But yeah, it deals with addiction, and that's something that at 14 I really never come across. I'd never known anyone to suffer with it, and we hadn't learnt anything about it in school even, really, because they deemed us too young. So that was very educational for me, I think. Now, the final book on this shelf, the shelf is actually stacked 2 books deep. I don't know if you could see along the whole thing, but I am not gonna pull out every single book just because my sister will kill me for messing up her room, and maybe there's another YouTube video in sorting out this shelf. I don't know, but I would like to give this one a shout out. Technically it's a play, but this was so formative to me. It influenced a lot of my opinions, kind of on feminism and career goals and everything. And I also love how in the beginning it's a dinner party with all these famous women throughout history. So another woman here is Patient Griselda. That's obviously a French kind of fairy tale story about a man who just abuses his wife and she just takes it. And yeah, so that was a really interesting. I just think this book is really important, and everyone, particularly women, should read it. Okay, so these are all the books I have in my room at the moment. It's not technically a bookshelf because we don't have that space. and this is why I was filming in my sister's room. But obviously you can see Margaret Atwood, The Testaments. Great book. Won the Man Booker Prize with Girl, Woman, Other. So yeah, I'd highly recommend it. If you are going to read it, I would recommend you read The Handmaid's Tale first. You don't sort of have had to, but it really helps to get a sense of kind of the world that they're living in. And yeah, it's more of a follow-up really than a standalone book. But Stephen Fry, Mythos. I haven't had a chance to read this yet, but like I said earlier, I did do a degree in medieval and Renaissance literature, and so all the classical, I'm really into all of the classical Greek myths, so can't wait to read that. Also haven't read this either, and this is another book that I borrowed from a friend. Sorry, Justina, I will try and read it as soon as I can. The Binding, I took that on holiday with me and I loved. This is the other book I mentioned, Jane Harper, The Dry. This was really, really good. It's a crime novel, but it's so much more than that, I think. It just goes a lot deeper than some of the other crime novels. So yeah, this is my sister's book that I borrowed. She will not be pleased to know that I have this here. Okay, so when I said that I'd moved back into my parents' place and there was no storage for any of my books, this is what I meant. Basically, we had a bit of an argument because this bookcase was absolutely full to the brim of my books, and basically my parents thought that food was more important than books. I disagree, but at the end of the day, it's their house. So my poor books have all been relegated to down here by the cat litter and the wellies and stuff. So very disappointing, I know, but this is some of the trials and tribulations of moving back home when you're 23. This bookshelf is also done, kind of double stacked. All the bookshelves in this place are. So, you know, that's unfortunate that some of the books I really wanted to talk about are at the back, and I can't really, like, for example, Black Leopard, Red Wolf, sort of African mythology, really interesting. It's the first of a trilogy, and I cannot wait for the other two to come out. I keep Googling when they're going to be released, and I can't find anything about it, so if anyone does know, please tell me. I've got my eyes peeled for that. The Flat Share, I think that's by Beth O'Leary, I can't quite remember. That's really interesting because it's about basically two people in London who share not only a flat but actually a bed. It's a one-room apartment, and it's actually something that I know quite a few people do. Really, it's not the main point, it's a romance, but it really highlighted for me kind of the housing crisis. Obviously something very close to my heart because I have to live here where my books are treated like this. Oh, Dan Brown, Inferno. That's a really good one. Dan Brown, obviously so popular, but, you know, popular for a reason. And of course, this is my favourite, Pride and Prejudice. You know, it's a classic for a reason. And I have quite a few copies of this. I think we've got 3 copies of this. But this one is my special one because it's gold and it's petite and it's the nicest one. All the other ones have got scribbles all through them and annotations. So this is my nice one. Okay, so admittedly I would not have started doing this bookshelf tour if I realised quite how appalling the bookshelves are. But as I say, this is another unfortunate side effect of moving home and my parents not having enough room for my books. Again, this is double stacked. I'm not even going to attempt to go through this one. Right, I can't even get to it. This is in the garage. There is so much stuff in the way. I will sort this out at some point. But some notable ones. A Little Life. Us. Always great. Personally, I blame my fairy godmother. That is really funny. I really, really liked that. It's just kind of a Cinderella story, really, which is why it's got the fairy godmother in. Any other notable ones? Oh, Enid Blyton, The Faraway Tree. Absolute banging. You can tell how much I read it because it's literally falling apart. What what else have we got? We've got some Harry Potter. Got a lot of Jacqueline Wilson, who, you know, I absolutely love. Actually came out as gay very recently, which is something I did not know, but good for her. Yeah. Debates on the Holocaust. Kind of does what it says on the tin. Yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't recommend that one unless you wanted to learn about the Holocaust. It's not the lightest read in the world. 10 Things That We Shouldn't Have Done is great. I don't know why, but I've read it about 300 times. It's one of my go-to books when I'm just feeling like sad or bored. I can just pick it up, and I don't know why. I just think it's amazing. I don't know if you can see, I've also got the Aeneid on there, and the Iliad is probably on here somewhere as well. Okay, so I've come around this side, so this is the only way I can access it, and you can see they're all double stacked. Mainly I came around here because I wanted to point out Queenie. I literally just finished reading this maybe, I don't know, a few days ago, and it's incredible. Everyone should read it. Yeah, I just really loved it, and if you want to see a deeper review, check it out on my Instagram page. The Little Coffee Shop of Kabul. So I haven't read that for a while, but it's basically about a coffee shop in Kabul, and it's about 4 or 5 women whose lives kind of intertwine through this coffee shop, and I really like it. You know, it's set in Afghanistan during the war, so, you know, it's got that sort of current affairs feel. I, Coriander is a book I've had for a very long time. I think I even got it from one of those school book fairs. So, you know, that's a really good book. It's kind of a young adult book. But yeah. The Help, of course, that was made into a film a couple of years ago. I think maybe it won an Oscar. But always the book is better than the film. I will not be challenged on that. And right at the top we've got Dan Brown, The Da Vinci Code, which I must admit, I think I was about 15 when I read that. And I fully believed it. I was like, yeah, this is totally, like, I could see this happening. I fully believed it. Maybe I know a little bit better now. What else have we got? Oh, we've got Sophie Kinsella. Oh no. Okay. So we're not going to dig too much deeper into it. But yeah. Okay, so that was kind of a whistle-stop tour through some of the bookshelves that I have here. I know they're in really bad condition. I am very sorry about that. Is there anything on there that you kind of expected to see? Anything that's given you inspiration maybe for your next read? I will admit now that I have never owned a full set of the Harry Potter books, much to my detriment. Obviously, I was quite young when they came out, and I got them from the library. I read all of them from the library, which was obviously really difficult because I had to be on the waiting list for them and everything. So I think I only owned 2, and they were given to me as birthday presents. I would love to own a full set, but so yeah, never owned a full set of the Harry Potter books. Will forever regret it. But other than that, anything else that you kind of were surprised I didn't have, or, you know, would have liked to have seen? And do remember that a lot of them were double stacked, so I may actually have them. I just can't access them. But yeah. So thanks for watching again. I apologise for the state of the shelves, but yeah, check out my Instagram if you like. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.